Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Diablo. I'm back on my grind. I'm in the zone with the video making at the moment. Now listen, I'm not gonna fucking toot me own horn to it. This is the third video I've made, like relax, you know what I mean? But I'm very happy with the content I'm making at the moment. My Audacity keeps fucking freezing, and I don't know what's gonna happen here. Sorry, I've recorded this like 3 or 4 fucking times, probably more than that. My PC's very slow. But yeah, I'm going through this content. I'm really happy with what I'm making. I've got tons of more video ideas actually available. What's available? Planned out, and I just can't wait to actually make them. So yeah, you're gonna be subscribed for weekly content. Now it actually is weekly content. I can confidently say it's going to be weekly content as long as my PC doesn't explode. But yeah, today's video we're going to talk about anime and manga. Now you might say, why are you saying that? All we do is talk about anime and manga on the channel, which is true, but I just want to let you know anyway, because that's what we're going to be talking about today. Today's video is going to be titled Anime for Dummies. Now anime is becoming ever so more popular. It's edging closer and closely every single day to the mainstream, and they're not even words. It's basically it's getting more popular every single day. With the likes of new films coming out in the cinemas like Demon Slayer, tons of new stuff. But yeah, so this video is going to be Anime for Dummies. Basically going to be my comprehensive guide to all the main genres of anime and manga, and hopefully it makes it a bit more accessible, because sometimes it can be a bit awkward getting into first. You're not sure where to start, what type of genre you want to watch first. So hopefully you can watch this video, see some of my recommendations, and you'll pick one or two from the list, and then yeah, you'll start watching them. So let's jump in with the first one on the list. Firstly, I'm going to be talking about the genre that the majority of non-initiated anime manga fans will probably first think of when someone asks them to describe something they've seen or even heard of when it comes to anime or manga. And that, of course, is shonen. Shonen for a lot of fans is the bread and butter, meat and potatoes of the industry, and while it's most definitely a big part of it's definitely a big part of the industry, and it produces some of the most recognizable and iconic series in anime and manga. It's not that's all that we have to offer. Shonen translates to roughly four boys, and just because it means four boys doesn't mean it discriminates. It's more of a demographic category than a genre, but over time it's kind of morphed and formed into a genre, just like some of the genres we'll be speaking about just later on. So let's just say someone's a fan of the big three: Naruto, Bleach, One Piece. And One Piece is the only one continuing at the moment. I think the other two, I know Naruto's definitely finished, and Bleach, I'm not sure if it's finished or it's just cancelled or on hiatus. But I know One Piece is the one that's definitely going on. And then they search shonen series, something, and so something similar, because those two are the main shonen. If you think of shonen, you're probably thinking them, or if some old school ones like Yu Yu Hakusho and some old school stuff. But those are the main ones. So if someone wants to search shonen series similar to one of the three, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna find something they love. Because shonen itself contains many different subgenres such as sports, fantasy, science fiction, and even horror stories. For sports, you got legendary series such as Slam Dunk, Haiku, Ice Shield 21. So Ice Shield 21 follows a high school football team on their journey for stardom. Slam Dunk is a similar thing. It's a basketball anime. You've got Scott Croker's no basket. You've actually got so many series. Haiku is volleyball. You might you might think I'm just gonna watch real sports if I that. No, listen, I thought a very similar thing at the time. I was like, I'm not gonna watch a sports anime. A friend of mine constantly asked me to. They love big fan of Croker and a basket. When I my first actual introduction to sports literature was actually Robot X Laser Beam, and it's from the author of Kuroko no Basket. But that series got cancelled, which was very sad for myself. I really do like it. But Ice Shield 21 is a fantastic. I heard Ice Shield 21 is actually really good, and I will be watching that one next, and then maybe Slam Dunk following that itself. I'll probably read the manga rather than watch the anime of the two, because it's my preferred medium, realistically. As I mentioned before, when you think of shonen, the big three of Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece, they all come to mind, and they're great in their yeah, and they're all fantastic in their own regards. But something like Hunter x Hunter is another shonen. There's also a fantastic shonen. There's obviously the original, and then there's the anime, the 2011 adaptation, and obviously the manga. I have personally seen the 2011 adaptation of the anime, and it's just really good. That blends all this, like the usual tropes of like fights, overpowered characters, different abilities, with just an overarching really good story behind them. just the whole thing as well. So shonen as a whole usually follows young men that are often seeking to become the best at what they do, defeat the ultimate evil, and protect the ones they love. So that little sentence there could describe absolutely any shonen. You say that, and hundreds of shonens could come to mind. You'll see the likes of the classics like Dragon Ball Z. So here's some of the ones I recommend. You'd say like Dragon Ball Z, one of the old school ones, Hunter x Hunter, and of course for any of the new school people, you're gonna have My Hero Academia or Demon Slayer. These are all great places to start. So if you're really looking for a place to start in anime, shonen is definitely the way to go. Now, shoujo is the next category on the list. So shoujo is probably in what is like a direct contrast to the meaning of shonen. Shoujo means young girl, so it's on basically like shonen but for girls, so it's shoujo. That's basically what it is. So shonen, whereas shonen is obviously technically a demographic, just like shonen, shoujo is technically a demographic, but over time it's transformed into a genre of its own. The most famous and well known of all shoujo is the magical girl story that is known as Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon is basically a story of young heroines fighting evil with their fantastic powers in their stunning costumes. That's kind of shoujo as a whole. As I said, it's basically like shonen for young girls. Of course, it can be liked by all genders, all sorts of people. Anyone can like it, but this is just the traditional demographic that it's aimed towards. Shoujo is really usually grounded in its focus on the romantic and emotional relationships rather than the characters of like action or thrill. There's obviously cases where this place takes exception to the rule. A lot of shoujo manga and anime do focus on action as well. Some of those would be like I really like Banana Fish. Banana Fish is really good. You see some of that. I think that's on Amazon Prime. I've seen some of Banana Fish itself, and Akatsuki no Yona is also that's just to name a few of the shoujo. So if you're looking for anything else out there, maybe if you're a girl looking to get into anime, how about look towards Sailor Moon and maybe Banana Fish itself. Now seinen manga, or seinen, I'm gonna say seinen manga, or seinen. Yeah, well, no, we'll go. I think seinen is the actually correct pronunciation. So if you want a story with action, robots, magical warfare, there's certainly no shortage of the previously mentioned genres. But if you want something that's more adult and more of an adult story, free from teen drama and emotions, this is where seinen actually comes into play. So seinen is actually my second favorite. I know shonen is definitely my favorite. Shonen's more nostalgic. There's a lot of great stories. It's accessible, easy to watch. A lot of great stories. Where seinen is also all of those things. Of course, it's just yeah. I think Shonen's definitely my number one, but seinen is definitely my number two. So seinen adventures down towards R-rated avenues with violence and sexual content, and morally fleeting characters just have no absolution at all. Classics such as Ghost in the Shell examine people who are live on the fringes of society with mercenary work and have absent morals are more of a given than a suggestion. So unlike shonen, these stories often don't involve characters trying to save the world, but often take place in a world where people have actually tried and failed and now have to live with their failures. If you're looking for any sort of recommendations for a seinen manga, I'd say look no further than the legendary series that is Berserk. Berserk follows Guts. I won't say too much about it because Guts is a character it's a swordsman, and he just goes on. It's just fucking wild. I won't say, yeah, just read it. Berserk is fantastic, and of course my favorite seinen manga or just series. Yeah, I definitely say series, rather than manga, because just like Berserk, don't watch the anime. You can watch the original anime, that's no problem. But the 2016 version of the anime is fucking awful. CGI is horrendous. It's it's just terrible. Whereas Tokyo Ghoul, my actual favorite seinen, is I'd also recommend to read the manga. There's Tokyo Ghoul and there's Tokyo Ghoul Re. It's like a part 1 and part 2. Whereas the anime adaptation of Tokyo Ghoul is just fucking terrible. Like the animation's fine or whatever. It's just the story. It just completely deviates from so much is rushed. It's a series that doesn't deserve to be rushed. You just take your time with it. It's just a fantastic overall series. So yeah, they're my two recommendations. So Berserk and Tokyo Ghoul for any seinen manga. Now moving on to the josei section of the video. I'm going to say jokes, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it. So josei is essentially the seinen for women who want to go above and beyond the regular tropes of school crushes, teen drama, and escape into the big bad world. You don't want to be stuck with the stereotypes of, oh, it's just a teen drama, romance, slice of life, this, that, and the other. Josei is definitely where you want to go. So, it often have examines relationships beyond the first kiss and life after graduation, and usually have a lot more action, if you catch my drift. So if you want to look at the likes of Paradise Kiss, you might find that they think to follow the similar scenarios I've showed you, with similar like breakups and makeups, but expands into more realistic situations, like how couples might be compatible after years of hardship and the heartbreak that comes with these hard realization and these hard decisions they have to make. Now you might thinking, this is all sad, this is all pretty melancholic. I don't want to watch any of this Jose or read any of this manga itself. There's definitely humours and slice of life moments in series like Ristorante Paradiso, which is a good one I recommend. This follows the daily lives of staff working in a restaurant in Rome and Italy. And Jose contains experimental storytelling that most fans actually won't be familiar with. So if you're looking for any sort of recommendations, anything by Erika Sakurazawa or Kyoko Okazaki is definitely worth your time. Any of the two above, any sort of series from them, and you really can't go wrong for this category. Harem. Harem is definitely an interesting category. Okay, harems usually feature a young man between 15 and 30 who's usually a bit lost in life, and they're kind of babysitting and not yet fully pursued passion, and they don't really know what they want to do with their career, their life in general. The main character in a harem are usually pursued by several women, several girls who are all equally desperate to be with them. Harem isn't really a series I personally resonate with. It's not something I particularly enjoy or watch like that, but it definitely has its place in anime itself. There is very popular harems. Like Rent a Girlfriend. I know that's one of the. I think it's a newer one. I know that's definitely a more popular one. One thing to know: harem is not only a male centric affair. There's also reverse harem, as the name would state. It's a reverse. Where the men chase the women. So multiple boys fight for a girl's affection, with probably the most famous reverse harem being High School Host Club. That's probably one. I'm not familiar. I'm familiar with the series itself. I've never read or seen it, but if you're looking for any two recommendations, they'd be the two. Isekai itself is a classic escapism taken into another level. So it's really centered around everyday ordinary people who are then transport, whatever you want to say, into a fantasy world, into a world that isn't their own. In some cases, they can bring their phone. Sometimes they just end up being reincarnated as a slime. I know, reincarnated as slime. We'll touch that series in just a second. Isekais themselves gained a huge explosion of popularity in the 2010s with No Game, No Life. That time I got reincarnated as slime. That's a series, yes, look it up. And ReZero, just to name a few. Now, Isekai itself, sometimes it can get a bad rap. Nowadays, a lot of studios are being accused of just lazy production. Every show that comes out nowadays seems to be an isekai, and a lot of them they're not great. They're just half-arsed attempts at a story. The isekai itself genre isn't really a new concept. You only have to look back at the classic Studio Ghibli film Spirited Away for a classic example of it, an entry into the genre. A series I'd recommend that doesn't exactly follow the obvious isekai tropes. It's called Devil is a Part-Timer. Now, the series follows literal Satan, yes, Satan, who was transported into our world, the human world, and he becomes a part-time worker at a fast food restaurant as he tries to acclimate to his new life in our real world. Yeah, isekais are a bit mad. A list about anime for dummies would not be complete without the mention of giant robots. Now, mecha is a genre where giant robots live, and arguably giant robots are probably the most common thing the average person would actually name or think of. They can picture the most for any sort of thing that's named anime. So it's mainly brash and charismatic characters that pilot enormous robots to fight for humanity. And it's a premise that is easily understandable and visually stunning and accessible. Neon Genesis Evangelion is a series that blends and blurs a lot of the genre lines with superhumanoid robots with its superpowers and real life stories that stick closer to the limitations of our world. So titles like Code Geass also display mechs in almost a magical way with their array of abilities, whereas the classic Mobile Suit Gundam series, it really revolutionised the genre with the handling of mobile mech suits as weapons and their ordinary soldier pilots. Now, in terms of a recommendation, I'd say Evangelion is probably the one I recommend. The one that stands out the most to me. I've seen one or two episodes of the Mobile Suit. There's a lot of Mobile Suit Gundam. I think there's a lot of Ava as well, Evangelion. There's a lot of films and stuff. I think it's done now. The most recent film came out. I think it ended the series, so that's one to watch out. That's a classic one. Evangelion. So if you want to jump into that one, I'd say, yeah, Neon Genesis Evangelion is my recommendation for that one. Now, last but certainly not least on my list of anime for dummies is the slice of life genre. I've referred to slice of life one or two times in the previous, some of the previous genres itself. But slice of life itself is a genre that contains stories about everyday life as it's lived by the characters or individuals in the self-contained stories. Now, with this genre, the beauty really is in the details, as it draws meaning from something so simple, such as like a lunch, a meeting, or just a single meal. It just accentuates every single little detail in those scenarios themselves. Now, you won't find grand battles and characters going Super Saiyan, fourth gear. You won't see these shonen tropes. Instead, you find life just being lived in whatever form it chooses to take. The cool thing about the genre is that even though it can take place in a fantastical world, it still allows for such an intimate approach in the way it's just shot. Like, you could have a world like KIKI's delivery service, for example, where magic and wishes and broomsticks, this is just commonplace in that world, but it's still a slice of life in the way that it follows Kiki in her journey in her life and what she does day to day, and her experiences. So that's obviously a classic Studio Ghibli one. Others I'd probably recommend to you is CLANNAD, After Story, and the Bakaramon. Probably fucking butchered the pronunciation of that, but yeah, they're the ones I've seen. CLANNAD, After Story, and Kiki's Livery Series for more of an old school vibe. Yeah, so everyone, we've reached the end of the video for end of today's video. Now, there's many genres and subgenres of anime and manga that can't be condensed in such a short video, but I hope that I gave you a brief overview or understanding of different genres, and now the world of anime and manga is slightly less intimidating. Of course, there's a lot of genres I didn't mention, so please, in the comments below, let me know what your favorite genre is. You can give me a recommendation from the actual genre itself, the one that is your favorite, if I didn't mention it. Now, of course, there's got to be a bit of controversy, like when the likes of Shonen. There's huge series I didn't mention. These are all just brief recommendations, like entry level recommendations, I'd say, for a lot of people there, just to get their foot in the door. As it is anime for dummies list after all. Yeah, so let me know what I've listed. If you liked the video, what your favorite genre is in the comments below, and also please like, comment, and subscribe for more weekly content. My name's been Diablo, and Slán.